Hey everybody, this is Ejijo and welcome to another video in my series on Python. In today's video we'll be looking specifically at while loops obviously, but in today's video the problem is going to be a little bit more comprehensive. Remember before we worked out how we can only display positive numbers, so I'm building on that now. So here we ask for two positive numbers. The user must enter two positive numbers. If the first number is greater than the second, we're going to add the numbers together and display the total. And if the second is greater than the first, we're going to multiply them and display the total. So there's quite a lot in here. So the first thing we need to look at is just to ask the user to enter two positive numbers. So you're going to ask, and we need to test if it is positive. So let's do that first. Remember, it's two numbers this time, so I'm going to say num1 is equal to 0, and I'm going to say num2 equal to 0, because we're going to use that eventually to determine whether or not it is positive numbers, right? So we got them too. So now I'm going to say while num1 is greater or equal to 0, and that gives us as a positive number, and num2 is greater or equal to 0. There we go. So that'll make sure that it is positive number. So while num1 is positive and num2 is positive, then we can continue. So we press enter, we got our indentation, a little tab space, and now we want our first number. So I'm going to say num1 equals int input, because we're going to work, we're going to compare it, so we need to work with calculations. So we're going to look at that, and then we're going to say, let's say first number. We're going to enter our first positive number. I'll just say first positive number. There we go. So that's what we want to check first of all. Cool. And yeah, let's test that one as well. So make sure it's a positive number. So if num1 is less than 0, because we want to make sure it is, what happened there, is less than 0, that means it's a negative number, and we only want positive numbers. Remember from the previous video, this is how you can sort this out. But if they just press it once, it's going to go around and ask the user again for that, and we don't want that. We want this to run nice and smooth, so we get that. So we're going to have a nested while loop. So we're going to put in another while loop, because we want to make sure that once we get out of this loop, it is a positive number. So we're going to say while num1 is less than 0. So while it's less than 0, we're going to make sure they actually change it into a positive number. So this is what we mean. So let's say that was a negative number. If it is negative, we're going to continuously loop until they get a positive number. So this is what we need to do. So I'm just going to copy it now. I'm going to copy that one, and I'm just going to paste it here. So we're going to say try again, and I want to say only enter a positive number. That's what we're going to say there, to make sure that that actually happens. So while num0 is greater or equal to num1 is greater or equal to 0 and num2 is greater or equal to 0, we're going to enter the first number. If it's less than 0, we're going to force them with another little nested while loop to continuously, so this little loop here, if I just, where's my drawing? Let me just grab that. This one here is, let me just clear that. Let me just try that one again. There we go. And now I can put in my little rectangle. So what we want to make sure, we're not going to get out of this while loop until the user gave us a positive number. So we're forcing them to give us a positive number through this. Cool. So that's what I'm trying to do over here. Okay. I'm not sure if this is going to work. I don't think it's going to work if I test this now. So I'm just going to continue with num2. Num2 is going to be identical to this, We're going to do exactly the same, because remember we're testing num1 right now, but we also need to test num2. So all of this that we have here is everything to make sure we get a positive number for our first number. Remember, we're asking them eventually for 2 positive numbers, and this is the first one. Right, so what I'll do, I will copy that, save a little bit of time. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to go back here and paste it, and this is going to be exactly the same but for our second number, and this will be our second positive number. And we just make sure we change all the num1s to num2s like that, and we're going to say num2, try again, only enter a positive number, and then we can start to actually deal with the which one is greater and which one is not greater. So I think we can test this now. I'm just going to go out here, and I'm going to put in a parent, and I'm going to say num1, because we want to see what that number is, and I'll do the same here. I'll delete it or take it out next time, before we carry on, sorry. And then I'm going to say num2, and we just want to see, once we get through this, before it comes back, how do I'll put a break in just to get out of it once we reach that point, so it doesn't continuously go with this loop. I just want to do it once, just to show you that eventually we have a positive number and a positive number. Of course, there's quite a bit of code, so let's have a look. Let's see if there's any errors, and let's see if this works. So first positive number, I'm going to put in a negative number of 22. Try again, only enter a positive number, so that's good. That's good. So I'll put in 12. So it's printed 12. The second one, I'm going to say minus 93 or something. Only enter a positive number. I'm going to say 34, and that is it. So now we forced it to do that. But what happens if we start with a positive number? So I'll run this again. I'll put 23. That's a positive number. It jumps to the second one. I'll say minus 32. Try again, and I'll say 55, and then it's fine. Perfect. So now we know that works. So now I don't need this break, and I don't need to print that, and I don't need to print that, because we know our code works up to there. Cool. Normally I would put some spaces, some blank lines in between, but we might run out of space for this one, so I just want to keep it nice and cool. We've got about 4 lines of code to go. So now we're going to do the actual comparison. We've covered this part of the problem. Little one sentence, short sentence, took us all those lines of code to solve. So now we're going to look at the next number, and we're going to say if the first number is greater than the second number, we're going to add the numbers and display the total. So this is what we are going to do next. So we're going to say if num1 is greater than num2. So if num1 is greater than num2. Remember here, if the first number is greater than the second number, that's what we're doing. If it is greater, we're going to add the numbers and display the total. So now it gets slightly simpler. So I'm going to do all of this inside a print function, and I'm going to say that we're going to add them together and display the total. So I'm going to say total added, just to make sure we've got that in, and then it's going to be num1 plus num2. That's what we want to do. So let's test that quickly. We want to test that if the first number is greater than the second number. So let's run that program, and we say let's do simple numbers 10, and if the first number is greater, so I'm going to put a 4, you need to add them together, and you can see that's 14. Now because it's looping, it's basically going to do exactly the same thing. So let's put in, let's do the other way around so you can see. So if we say, let's say oh, I need to click there for some reason. Let's say 5 and then 13, and then it says first person. No, we don't have that yet. It didn't give us an error, but it didn't give us a total either. So I'm just going to get out of this one with a control. Actually, I'm just going to close that. We've solved this part. The second part, sorry, we solved that part. The second part that we now need to solve. So we've done that part. So this little line, that one, took us all of this. All of that code, but this one here, simple comparison and adding together, only took 2 lines of code. Go figure. Anyway, But because we don't have to now check the we don't have to give a statement to give the reverse if num2 is greater. I mean, we could, but because there's only two states that we want, we either want to see if one is greater than the other or the other is greater than the first one. We only need to put in an else now. We don't need to put another big one in. So this time we are going to do it like this. What does the second one say? If the second number is greater, multiply the numbers and display the total. So we have to multiply the numbers this time. So now we're going to say total multiplied. Total multiplied. And I'm just going to do that. I just need to put a capital T there. And this time we are multiplying them together. Num1 times num2. Right, so that should work. That should work. That should work. So let's do a F5 enter. So first positive number 12, second positive number 24. Is that 36? Oh wait, it's going to multiply, isn't it? Let's do something simple like that. First positive number is greater. The first positive number is greater, so it's 14. The second, so now we go through it again. So I'm going to now make the second one. Let's make it. Let's go for 10, and then 30, and that gives us 300. 10 times 30 is 300. Right, I'm going to close the program now. So that all works perfectly. So as you can see, again, that's just sometimes how it works. We've got a simple thing. This asks for two numbers, but because it needs to be positive, we're going to have to go through the whole process of making sure it's positive. And then the second part was only 2 lines of code, and then the last part was just 2 lines of code as well. So 4 lines of code in that little section. So that is quite cool. You can obviously improve this program to make sure that once you are finished, you can put in some more detail. Once you're finished and you're happy, you can use a sentinel value escape key or something like that. But this is all that we wanted to do for now, and this was probably our first quite complicated one that we did. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye.